This is the Dull Man's Podcast, the podcast for dull men
and women
who get excited about dull things.
I'm Demitris Deech, an award-worthy stand-up comedian who loves to celebrate his love of dullness to any audience who's prepared to listen.
I'm glad you're using that award-worthy now.
I'm still award-worthy, Dave.
They're still award-worthy, and sooner or later, hopefully, somebody will agree with you.
Well, I'm in the presence of an award-winning documentary producer, Dave. So
well, that's true. It was a pity award, but we won't dwell on that. But my name's Dave Harries. I'm the producer of this show, and we are very happy today to introduce our third contributor, who is Sarah Steele. She's a musician and author, and she's standing in for Faye today. Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I feel delighted to be part of the Dull Club.
Well, you were absolute shoo-in.
Handpicked.
Well, I spent a lifetime working towards this, frankly. I feel my work is being recrecognised.
I mean, after I'd read your books, I thought, we got to get Sarah on.
Page Turner's name.
Would that be like one of those back page reviews? The Dull Men's Club podcast, absolutely dull as you like.
Perfect for our audience.
Yeah.
As recommended by all dull men.
I don't know if I've ever been in the company of an author, so thank you very much. I feel really privileged.
Oh, well, I feel quite privileged too. I mean, award-worthy comic and Dave.
Award-worthy to myself, may I add. So, Dave, what is in today's show?
Well, as usual, Deech, it's packed with really dull stuff. And I know that a little bird told me that you're going to talk about tie wraps, or cable wraps, or cable ties, or whatever you want to call them.
You keep forgetting what it is we're talking about.
I have no idea.
It's funny because I had a conversation with Dave on the phone this morning saying, Deech is going to talk about these things that you tie cables with, and I can't remember. That'll be a cable tie.
Yeah, the clue's in the description. Yeah. It's normally the other way around, isn't it? The title of the thing tells you what they do, but for me, Sarah had to explain to Sarah what they did so that she could tell me what they were called. Yeah.
She's like your carer.
I am. It could be quite a long show. He'll need to go up for his medication.
That's usually just coffee for Dave, I can tell you. A gallon of coffee.
And I've got my coffee this morning, so don't worry. There'll be no temper tantrums. Tie wraps.
Cable tie wraps.
I'm still saying tie wraps.
That sounds like a sort of a Mexican food.
It does, doesn't it? But that's migrated to
a fusion of Far East and Mexican food, the tie wrap.
So we're going to talk about cable ties.
Yes.
And then we have got, Sarah, you are going to bring us, well, I was going to say Faye's frustrations, but obviously you're not Faye, so you can bring your own frustration.
Yeah, it's my very own frustration.
So tell us what's your frustration.
So my frustration is builders' radios, and I'm living with those quite a lot at the moment because I've got scaffolders next door who are playing Builder FM from about 8 a.m. until 4 p.m.
Oh, I'm
irritated already.
Exactly.
We're going to get into that.
I think we know where it's going.
Yeah. Have they never heard of noise-cancelling headphones? What's wrong with these people? All right. And then I'm bringing to the table barking dogs.
Oh.
So we're going to talk about barking dogs. Well, I'll have to explain it to you later.
Okay.
Barking dogs, and I know, Sarah, you're a dog owner. So you'll have an opinion on this.
2 barking dogs.
You have 2 barking dogs, exactly. And did you have a dog?
I do not.
You do not have a dog?
I want one of mine.
No.
I'm going to talk about barking dogs because I think that's very dull. So I used to work at the BBC and in the recording industry, and I used to record orchestras for a living at one stage, and these things that Deech is going to talk about now were quite important in my life. So Deech, tell me, what are those things and how dull are they?
Well, I believe in America they're called zip ties, and over here they're called cable ties. They're little plastic things which tie things together. And I have watched a YouTube documentary. In fact, I've watched 2 YouTube documentaries on the history of the cable tie.
There are 2.
Yeah, I saved. There's one which is, let me just look at my notes, 7 minutes and 26 seconds long, and the other one is 18 minutes long.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? You'd think it would be quite hard to talk about cable ties for 18 minutes.
Well, you would, but we're going to give it a damn good go today.
And you've prepared a little clip for us, I think.
Yes, I have. I don't think anyone should miss out on the YouTube video.
Well, don your headphones, and we'll have a quick listen to the clip, and and then we can have a chat about it afterwards. So here it comes now.
Welcome to our channel, where today we will delve into the fascinating history and mechanics of an item that plays a crucial role in a multitude of applications across various industries, the zip tie.
Ooh.
Though often overlooked, zip ties are ubiquitous, providing a simple yet highly effective solution for bundling, securing, and organizing.
Bundling.
But how did this unassuming plastic strip become such a vital tool, and what makes it work so efficiently? Let's unravel the story of the zip tie, tracing its origins, evolution, and the principles behind its operation.
I want more.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that make you want to watch that YouTube video, Sarah?
Totally, especially with that music in the background, because that just gives it a bit of gravitas.
It does, doesn't it? I often wonder why they put music over these things at all.
Well, put a piano in the background of anything and it suddenly becomes very
it goes very important. Yes, exactly. It's building up to something very exciting.
And I love how he has his voice that they use in sort of like sofa adverts. The zip tie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Buy your sofa on offer this weekend.
That was the 7-minute 26 video.
Oh, amateur, really? Then.
Well, the other one, the voice was not as exciting. So, the voice that we just heard, I think we were in danger of it being too exciting.
It was quite exciting, wasn't it? Especially when he said bundling.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
Sarah,
gave
I
us all
could
a shiver.
I could tell that put you over the edge, didn't it?
Did. I nearly had to go out.
Yeah.
Personal time.
Yeah. I want to be bundled. We all want to be bundled.
That's not a sentence I thought I'd wake up and
No,
hear today.
no. This is, anything can happen in the Dull Man's podcast.
Yeah.
Least of all excitement.
It's almost not dull.
Yeah.
You need to put a bit of a lid on it.
Well,
Yeah.
we do have to temper it. Our nonsense sometimes is in danger of getting into drivel, and we need to sort of quell that kind of ambition.
Yeah, it's a
that
sort of
we've got.
free Mogadon with every episode,
Oh, steady on. Is that for the contributors as well?
It's for everybody. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Carry on telling us about zip ties, because this is fantastic.
Well, do you know, when you think about it's like for you, you've worked in radio, you work for the BBC, and I'm sure you've got countless dull stories about how zip ties cable ties are important.
Oh, I'm going to tell you them as well. I'm going to make
Thank you. I'm going
Sure you are.
Well, the thing is, I never realised until I watched this video as to how important they are. They are really useful, and they're really useful for a dull man. I am a dull man, and I'm an amateur when it comes to cable tying, but I do enjoy the feeling when you go behind your TV and I see all those cables and wires and leads which were once messy, that they're now they're not knotted up, and they're all color coded. They've got little sticky labels on. Yes, I do that, so I know what's the TV, what's the satellite, what's the DVD, what's all the different things, and then I can cable tie them all up, so they're all just this.
And you
nice,
do that, do you? You do cable tie?
I do, but I've never appreciated the science behind what gives me that wondrous dullness.
Yeah. Sarah, do you cable tie your cables?
Let me see.
Cable
I
tie
don't
something else.
I'm
spend
gonna guess
a
no.
lot of time behind my television to worry about these things. I have to say.
Yeah, but what
I'm
if you
more an in front of
accidentally?
the television sort of person.
Sitting on
Oh,
the
that's the
sofa
boring side.
with
I
a
know,
gla-
but behind the TVs for the spider webs.
Yeah.
and
If you needed
Yeah.
cable
toys
ties
and
to
stuff.
drink wine, then Sarah would be there. But, a glass
That
of
would
wine.
be what's strapped to your hand in case you lose your glass.
Exactly. It could be very useful.
That's the way to solve the party problem of where did I put my glass of wine. Just
But I have to say that, Deech, when you sent me a link to that video,
Yes.
and I watched quite a good deal of it, actually, probably a good 5 minutes of it, before
Yeah.
I finally couldn't bear it anymore. And what was very genuinely interesting, if a little dull, about it was the fact that cable ties revolutionised the building of aircraft. Mm-hmm. Because aircraft, modern airliners that we all fly on holiday in, are incredibly complicated machines, and they have thousands and thousands and thousands of wires all going everywhere. And if you didn't tie them up into neat little bundles and colour code them and all sorts of things, the engineers would never be able to figure out, what the hell does that wire do? You know, should I have cut that?
Like your knitting basket.
Is that important? And but it's all done. It's all done to a plan, to a scheme.
Yeah.
Thanks to cable ties.
And they can be colour coded.
They can be colour coded, of course.
Which is useful. Well, I knew we'd get you in the end.
Get me on the colours and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Arrange them in order like your Caran d'Ache pencil box.
Exactly.
So they used to, in airlines, before the invention of the cable tie, they used to bundle the wires with wax. And I think they also used metal at one point, which has its own problems because it can corrode.
And twine, I think, as well. I saw it.
So there's all these different things, but
or maybe it was waxed twine.
Yeah, actually, it probably
wax on its own. That would be quite hard to do. Sort of melt a candle, put the wires into it.
I don't like the idea of going on a plane where the cables are held together with a melted candle.
Not really.
I'll take the next flight. Thanks.
The phalange's not working.
Exactly. Oh, Friends reference.
Yeah,
I like it.
Well done. Well done. You forgetting that? There we go. That just slipped out. So just to add a bit of colour to this this topic, they were invented in Memphis, Tennessee, which I have been to, from a company called Thomas and Betts, who they specialised in sort of electrical wear in airlines. And the inventor, his name was Morris C. Logan. And they came into their own in 1958, where he invented the design of the strap and the head. Those are the two key components to a cable tie.
And when he invented it, if I remember from the video, the head where the strap goes through had a little metal sort of
that
thing
one
in it,
didn't it?
A pawl, I think it's called.
Oh yeah,
PAWL, pawl, and it goes in and it can only go in one direction because if you pull it back, it's trapped.
It snaps
by
tight.
The pawl, which is was something on sailing ships as well for pulling in anchors.
Oh, okay.
Like that. But now it's completely plastic. So the technologies of making plastic things is such now that you don't have to insert the bit of metal. Mm-hmm. So now they're incredibly cheap to produce. Ignoring the pollution aspect of it and all that sort of thing. So hence being ubiquitous.
And now you can sort of untie them by putting something into the head to loosen them. So they're reusable. They're not.
Well, certain ones are reusable.
You can squish the heady.
You
bit
can.
Thing,
There's a technique.
But there are some that aren't reusable.
Oh, okay.
There are some where you literally can't do that.
One time only.
You have to cut them off. But But this is where my experience as a recording engineer comes in, because when I used to endlessly have to coil cables, because microphone cables are quite expensive.
Yes.
And if you don't coil them up properly, they get kinked and they get damaged and they don't last so long.
Kinked with all the words today.
This is and this is so dull.
Kinky cable ties.
But the point is that recording
more to say on that.
It is my belief
Keep it going.
that the location recording engineers that know their stuff know how to wrap cables so they don't kink, and then they have to tie them with a cable tie. And I used to have these reusable ones, which had a little thing, and they were very easy to, because obviously I couldn't use disposable ones all the time because I'd got through hundreds of them.
Yeah.
They'd be littering the recording venue.
We've got to look after our planet.
Exactly. And that difference between the reusable and the non-reusable is to me a very fundamental thing. Yeah. So there you are. That's Dave, how dull I am.
Dave, will you teach me how to wrap up a XLR microphone cable?
I will. After this recording, we'll do it. We'll have a lesson.
Because it was my time as a stand-up, sometimes you end up helping the sound person to, you want to do a good deed and you want to sort of wrap up the cable ties. I've never known them tied up with a cable tie, though. They usually just get knotted within themselves.
Yeah, you see, that's bad.
Is that bad practice?
Yeah. Because depending on how the knot goes, obviously that can cause a kink.
So you would never endorse the tying?
I would never knot, unless I didn't have anything to tie the thing with.
Then you have to do it.
Oh, this is dull. I guess Sarah's going to sleep over there.
This is great.
So dull.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to point out
go on, please.
There is also an interesting aspect to cable ties that may have passed you both by, because I'm sure your reading habits are incredibly erudite. Well, I know Dave's are because he's read my books. But
it's quite.
There was a certain book about 15, 20 years ago that made a bit of a splash and caused an absolute boom in the sale of cable ties.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I think I do, actually.
You do,
I
don't
think
you?
I do.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't read that.
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey.
I have not.
Yeah.
I have not read it.
I
Yeah.
haven't
My
read it
wife
either.
says she's flicking through it right now.
Yeah.
I watched
Blushing
10 minutes.
couples
I watched
in
10 minutes of the
B&Q
film,
pretending
and
not to buy them. Yeah.
I watched 10 minutes of the film, and it was so boring. I just couldn't bear it anymore. I was thinking, I got to stay with this because there's going to be something kinky in a while.
There's going to be some cable ties.
Yeah, I've heard there
Thing-
are,
ties that you tie cables up with.
I've heard there's cable tie action in this film, but I couldn't bear to stay
You
with
had
it.
to get to kind of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and it would have been.
Oh, you know the
Oh, there we
exact
go.
No,
point.
I actually haven't seen it. Well, who's going to believe me
So
now?
that caused a surge in cable ties.
yeah,
Extraordinary.
yeah.
Things do, don't they?
And have you noticed that on cop shows now, particularly American cop shows, they don't use handcuffs anymore. They cable tie people's wrists together.
Okay.
And,
They do in America. They don't here. So there's something I'm working on at the moment, and I've been having to. This is
Sorry,
going to sound really bad.
so which way
I'm having
round?
to
Sorry,
research handcuffs. For them.
So they still use handcuffs here?
No, they have these kind of flicky ones. So they're proper handcuffs, but you flick them.
Oh.
and they,
Oh, so they're
Okay.
very quick.
automatic. Yeah.
Where here or in America, did you say?
Over here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
One other thing I learned is the amount of cabling in the world, which is kind of ambiguous, but the amount of cabling in the world, if it was stretched out from end to end, which is always the thing done, isn't it?
Yeah.
It would reach from planet Earth to the nearest star.
Well, that's 7
Wow.
light years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of cable.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And lots of that's behind your telly, by the sound of it.
Yeah, that's right.
and
We
if
can
you
get to the moon. We can get to the moon.
But what if
Exactly.
you tied all the cable ties together? If you just inserted the tip of one cable tie into the pawl, the
Yeah.
head of the next one, and you strung them all together.
I don't know how far we'd get.
How far would that?
I
go?
don't
I
know.
think you need to find out, Dave. That can be your challenge this week.
You think so?
Blimey.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. You're the author. You do the research. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very happy to once again hand over the microphone to Sarah Steele, author, musician, upcycler, you name it, Sarah's done it, to tell us about her frustrations this week.
Okay, so I'm an author, which involves being quite quiet most of the time because it all goes on in my head. And I'm also a musician, and I'm very sound sensitive. So I'm a bit like the Princess and the Pea when it comes to noise. And my neighbours have scaffolders in at the moment. And my office is at the front of the house, and they have the radio on all day. And not even just a little tiny radio, but one of those massive things, like a kind of ghetto
Industrial.
Boom
that
box.
are actually made by building supply companies.
Yes.
To piss off neighbours.
Is that right? It's,
I
actually,
think
it's a
it is,
real
yeah.
builder's radio.
Yeah, and I think there is no quiet setting on it. Well, there may be, because every time I go out, because I hate being the annoying woman next door when they're trying to get on with their job, and we're all just getting on with what we have to get on with. And I'll say, "Oh, sorry guys, I'm just trying to work. My office is just there. Can you turn it down?" All right, love. Turn it down.
So it does have a volume control then?
It does have a volume control, but only it's the kind of annoying neighbour volume control.
It has to.
And
it has to go. It has to be louder than their power tools, I guess. Does
It
it?
does.
Does it have 3 settings? Sort of lowest is mildly irritating.
Yeah.
Next one is make neighbour angry.
Yeah.
And the final one is incandescent neighbour.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
there's a picture, like a cartoon picture of an incandescent neighbour, like pulling his or her hair out.
That is me.
That's the rage we want.
Yeah.
Well, I've got I see that I've got the same issue, in as much as we've got builders at our house, and they play their music, which isn't always the kind of music that is, they're
That's
playing
the
music.
thing, isn't
There's a
it?
style of music called drill, which is really ironic
it's good
because
for
they're
ballers.
using a drill. Yeah, it's the new. It's what's come on from grunge. Apparently,
Is there a style of music
grime?
called saw?
So there will be.
There
No,
probably is
not grunge,
already,
it's grime.
yeah.
Drill music has come out of grime. So grime
Very
is
well informed.
I love how you're talking about this like you actually know.
Well, I do. And if we've got any drill or grime dull fans out there. So it's a very urban music at the inner cities of Britain. It's a very British thing. But I'm guessing drill is like grime, but with added drill. But they play this music as well. Obviously, the work they do is loud. They can't help that. But I did get in touch with my neighbours because my neighbours work from home. So we've on a semi-detached house. And I said, look, if the music is too loud, please tell me, and I will tell them to be quiet, because I was conscious of the fact that I couldn't even hear myself think. My brain was actually rattling.
Because of the drill music.
Because of the drill music and the drill and the power drill.
It's torture.
Yeah, but they got back to me and said, no, appreciate you asking.
I thought drill music might be marching bands, because
I'm thinking like
soldiers being drilled.
Drills that rotate on a different frequency, maybe.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
That's very good. Eh? You do a good beatbox there, Dave.
Thank you. I've been practicing that. But Sarah, can I ask you, have you identified the station that Builders FM is?
So Builders FM, I think,
Builders FM.
is Classic Gold.
Classic Gold.
Because there seems to be a lot of Spandau Ballet.
Oh, okay. So they're builders of that generation.
Yeah, lots of kind of Van Morrison.
Maybe they think that will appeal to the middle-class neighbours more.
Yeah, they put a bit of Bjork on at one point. And I love Bjork, but I don't want Bjork in my ear when I'm trying to sort out a really complicated plotting thing. So,
And ironically, she says, "Oh, so quiet."
Yes,
exactly,
right,
and then she starts screaming, which is what happens, because that annoying neighbour mode obviously only activates for about 3.5 minutes, and then it shoots
Then it
straight
goes
back up to annoying.
automatically.
But the annoying thing about this is, so they've kind of understood that I am quite persistent in my cries for help. So they've turned it now.
Although
down
that's
now.
not the way they put it.
No. So they've now got a third man on the job, who's this Polish guy who sings at the top of his voice. So even though the radio...
Live music!
Yeah, so even though the radio is quiet...
Karaoke.
He is doing karaoke.
It's a scaffold karaoke.
It's just unbelievable. And he's actually so
Is he
bad.
mic'd up? Is he mic'd up?
He doesn't need to be.
He's got a screen in front of him with the words.
He's got a big pair of lungs and a big beard.
A big backline of amplifiers.
Yeah.
I
Why
love
don't you
it.
just put in some requests?
Well, I think I might as well do now.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's got to that point. So
Or, you're a fine musician, Sarah. You can accompany him on the piano.
I could take, or
Open
just
the
violin
window
out.
and just sort of start ad-libbing.
Yeah, because that's really going to help the productivity with the book.
Exactly. Yeah, and your other neighbours will love you as well as the builders.
Exactly.
Do you hate it when people play really loud music in a car, so loud that you can hear it in the next car along at traffic light?
Yes, you see, I have a thing about people forcing their music on other people.
Yes.
So even like in London, people have big speakers on their bikes, so they cycle.
Oh, you're
through London.
kidding?
No,
What
it's hell out there.
Oh, so we've got
honestly.
headphones, but no, what I don't want to do is wear headphones.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing, which is a discussion for another day on this podcast, but the whole business of people having their phones on speaker on a train.
Don't start me.
And not only having a conversation via the speaker, which so everybody can hear the whole conversation.
Like, why would you do that?
I don't know.
Oh, it's a doctor here. I've got your results. Oh,
then-
hang on. Let me put it on speakerphone.
Yeah,
so the whole
exactly.
carriage can hear.
Yes, exactly. And then having had the conversation with the doctor and discovered, the tumour and all that sort of thing,
Or the venereal disease. Or who
which is
knows?
obviously great news. And then they put on a YouTube video about how to
What was
cure
that
the thing. And
Yeah.
they have the YouTube video on speaker as well. Like,
Yeah.
have you never heard of earphones?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Or
And
privacy.
yeah, exactly. And so,
Or privacy, don't
there's a
start me on that one.
There's a variation on that, which I think people are largely unaware of. And when you get in a car and your phone connects to the Bluetooth in the car, and you can have a conversation when you're driving, but people park and carry on the conversation, or they stop the car in order to have the phone conversation, very safety conscious, but they leave it on the Bluetooth. And of course the speakers are in the doors. So the sound radiates out from the cars. So you can hear the person on the other end of the phone as clearly as if you were in the room with them.
Yeah.
And I think the people in the car are completely unaware of this.
No, you wouldn't be. And if you've got 50 Shades of Grey on audiobook,
Exactly.
then everyone's hearing cable tie functionality.
Oh, they go, chapter 17. That was my favourite.
She lifted the cable tie alluringly from the cable tie box.
What colour was it? What
handed
colour
it
was it?
to her partner.
Was it a Thomas Betts original?
Do you think could I be a writer, Sarah?
I think
was that
you've
good?
got all the skills required,
All the skills
Dave.
required.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to hear from Dave now about, excuse the pun, one of his pet hates here, which is Tell us, Dave.
It's barking dogs, Sarah. And I know you have some dogs, and they are capable of barking.
Only 2. You make me sound like
Yeah, dog lady.
Yeah,
with your 6
or
dogs.
Battersea Dogs Home.
Well, I'm going to come to Battersea Dogs Home in a little while, but the reason I sort of thought this was an interesting dull subject, if those two things can be said in the same sentence.
Well, we've come up with a word, haven't we? Dull-trusting.
Dull-trusting.
It is
Dull-trusting.
dull-trusting.
It is.
So you're going to have your own lexicon.
You can
Yes.
use that in your next book if you like.
I'm going to try and get
As
that
long as you
in.
give us credit.
Yeah.
Well, I think Deech invented
Little
it, actually.
asterisk and a footnote.
Yeah, exactly. As invented by Deech.
Yeah.
But anyway, barking dogs. Okay, so I'm not keen on barking dogs, particularly if you're sitting there on a summer's evening in the garden, on those rare evenings when we can sit in the garden, and there's a dog sort of 20 houses away, it's hard to tell where, just yapping away, constantly sort of barking. And it does happen. It happens in where I live, and it happens everywhere, I'm sure. And and the owners are out and they've left the dog on its own, so or they just don't care and they ignoring the dog, whatever. And that winds me up a bit. And a friend of mine told me about an app, which on the face of it's got nothing to do with this. And the app is called Merlin Bird ID. And you can download it onto your phone. And it's brilliant and it's very, very clever, because if you're out in the country having a walk,
Yes.
turn this app on and you can identify the birds that are singing in the trees around you.
Yeah.
Presumably, unless there's hundreds of them, different ones singing, but it will tell you, oh yeah, that's a crow, or that's a sparrow, or whatever, and it will this thing will ID the bird for you.
Yeah.
Of course, I wouldn't know whether it was right or wrong because I don't know anything about bird call, but apparently it's very accurate. And I was thinking, what about a dog version? So you could
identify the owner's dog.
identify the owner.
And it gives you the address.
You'd have
That's
to,
Jack from number
So-
42. Jack!
Exactly. You've
bloody
got it.
Cocker
And I was
Spaniels,
thinking, now
we-
that would be an app I would download. So I could go round to Jack's and say, Jack, can you shut your dog up, please?
Now, coincidentally, that Merlin Bird Song app was one of the most popular posts on the Dull Men's Club Facebook group last month.
Oh, really?
A lady was celebrating the app, and she said, would you mind if I posted about this app? I know we don't usually publicise things, but I thought the Dull members might like it. And we said, no, that sounds a great idea. And she did that and got loads of sort of thank yous and likes.
Because I believe it's a free app. I don't
Yeah.
think you have to
She
pay
wasn't
for
doing it for money. She was
No,
doing it because
no.
she really enjoyed it.
Well, that's a coincidence, because I heard about it from
Yeah, it's just about-
And bird
friend.
watching is not dull. I mean, I'm the daughter of a Twitcher.
Or bird
so-
listening in this
Bird
case.
listening. Well, it's all part of I used to get taken bird watching at sort of 5 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning by
did
my
you?
dad to learn to see them and identify the song and
The,
stuff.
the,
And
the
it's
dawn
addictive.
chorus it is fantastic,
It is.
but the dawn chorus of dogs barking isn't.
Is not.
I have to confess, when you said to me the other day, Dave, we're going to be talking about barking dogs, I thought you meant something else as an expression. I thought you were going to be talking about sore feet.
Well, actually, I
My
was...
dogs are barking. Not many people have heard that
I know.
expression.
So I'm going to have to get my laptop out and re-research all the research I've done, because I've done a load of research on sore bloody feet.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
if we can just switch this over now.
That's a very peculiar interpretation of what I
Hang on a
said.
minute.
Well, it is. So John Candy in Planes, Trains and Automobiles references "My dogs are barking today" when he takes his shoes off in the
And he
plane.
means he's got sore feet.
Because he's got because
Oh, you've actually done this
I've
work,
done
haven't you?
all of this
You've
this
got
research.
a whole page.
Deech, can I suggest next time I suggest a subject, you ask for clarification?
No, we're sticking with my plan now. We're taking it over. So so my dogs are barking. That comes from it's dog's meat. It's rhyming slang for feet. That was referenced in 1924. There's also a reference of it in 1913. Anyway, back to your subject, Dave.
Oh, thanks, Deech. Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, sore feet.
I'm
as in-
looking at, whilst you two are talking, I started doing this. I'll do some more research.
I mean, dull hurting feet are very, very interesting and dull. But one thing, when I was researching this, I sort of Googled barking dogs, and of course, there's a place called Barking, which is in East London.
They have lots of dogs there.
Well,
there's also the Isle of Dogs.
it's got
which is probably not far.
Let me tell you a bit about
Yeah.
Barking. It's got 59,068 people. So I think there's bound in the 2011 census. That's out of date, but I think there's bound to be a few dogs amongst a few dog owners amongst that lot.
Do we know the ratio?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
come on.
I tried to find it, but the I thought, was that town named because they had a particular, loads of barking dogs? I was really hoping that was the reason. But actually, it's not. It was an Anglo-Saxon name, Beresingas, which means either the settlement of followers of Bereska or settlement of birch trees. So it's to do with
maybe to do with bark then, from a tree then.
Well, I don't know. Well, birch trees it says, but nothing to do with dogs. I mean, how sad is that? And I was thinking, my final point on dogs from barking is that the Battersea Dogs Home really missed a trick there. Because imagine if they'd set up in Barking.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been perfect? Yeah. And the rent would have been cheaper as well.
Barking dog home. Yeah.
I have to say, I got my first dog from a dog's home in Kenilworth. Which was just worth it for the comedy, really.
A free dog. I love it when people get free dogs.
And as you mentioned a second ago, the Isle of Dogs and Kenilworth and Barking, there are lots. I mean, I would love to hear from our listeners about, if they can think of any other places with dog connections in the name.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Woofton.
Well,
woofing.
You say a good one. It's not that good, but it's Wooflington. Yeah, that's
Ruffington.
Oh, yeah, nice.
I just made that up.
Yeah, I know you did. Well, that is all we have time for in this fascinating episode of Tie Wraps, Builders FM and Barking Dogs, or Dogs from Barking. I want to thank you, Sarah, very much for coming on the show, and we hope we can have you back soon.
Please invite me again. Yes. I've never been so bored in my life.
Dull, not boring.
Yay!
Yeah, we don't do boring.
I've never been so dull in my life.
Well, you say that. And Deech, thank you very much for your splendid contributions, as always.
I try my hardest.
So anyway, it's goodbye from me, Dave Harries.
And it's a definite goodbye from me, Demitris Deech.
And it's a goodbye from me, Sarah.
Ta-ra. You've got a pond there of people, potentially.
Yeah.
Like, what Facebook...
A pond of people.
Pond of people.
Is that the collective noun for people?
A pond of people. A reservoir.
A lake.
A lake.